is Siva Jagadish Kumar M, Assistant Professor, Vignan University, Department of Textile Technology. So welcome to the video series of Apparel Costing and Export Documentation, Unit 1, Class 5. So costing is one of the very important subject financially and which decides the fate of the businesses. So that's why this subject shows very important role in terms of the managers to become. Okay. So the people who are very good in costing are generally will get very higher promotions, increments, since if you save more money for the industry, obviously industry will give more money to you, isn't it? So that's why this subject is very, very important. So today we are going to discuss a few topics like methods of costing and what is cost sheet. What are the components of the cost sheet in today's class. So let's begin today's session. The methods of costing and what is cost sheet. And this is the last class from Unit 1 and I hope we will learn something new today. So just for a quick recap until the classes what we have discussed. Okay. So the cost is having so many different elements. Okay. Like material, labor and expenses. These are the direct materials, direct labor, direct expenses. And similarly, indirect materials, indirect labor and indirect expenses. Okay. So all the indirect ones like indirect labor and indirect material and indirect expenses together will be called as overheads. These overheads are further classified based on the functionality as a factory overheads are also called as works overheads, and then the administrative overheads, and then the selling and distribution overheads. Okay. So the direct material, direct labor and direct expenses are referred as the prime cost, are also referred as the direct cost. Okay. Many times if you ask a simple question or something, generally what will be a cost of a pen or something like that. So generally what happens is people will calculate anything based on the prime cost and they will forget about all other overheads. Okay. So that's why considering overheads is very, very important. So here we can see the direct material plus direct labor and direct expenses which can be traced back to any of the end product finally are referred as the direct cost or the prime cost. Okay. Then the prime cost plus the factory overheads are also called as work overheads, are also called as the production overheads. Okay. This will be giving the approximation of factory cost or works cost. Okay. So this factory cost along with the administrative overheads is referred as the cost of production. Okay. Then cost of production plus selling and selling and or marketing overheads or distribution overheads all together will be the total cost. Okay. If we add total cost plus profit, that will become the price. Okay. So the difference between cost and price is cost is the actual expenses which are incurred in manufacturing or providing service is referred as the cost, and price is nothing but which will be means the buyer will give the remuneration or the money for a specific product or service, that is referred as the price. Okay. So which one will be generally higher, cost or price? Yes, price will be higher than the cost, isn't it? Then only people who makes it will get money or they can sustain the business. If the prices are lesser than the cost, then what will happen? Obviously, they will wind up the business. But of course, there are sometimes maybe like an end of season sale or something like that where discounted sales will happen, whereas the cost of the product may be higher than the price of the product. Means it will be sold at a lower price than the actual cost which are going to be incurred in that one. Okay. So again, that is an entirely different story, and how the retailing will take place. We discuss those things in a separate series of subjects. Okay, but in this one, we will understand. I hope everyone is clear with what is direct labor and what is indirect labor, what is direct material and indirect material, direct expenses, indirect expenses, what are overheads. Out of these overheads, the factory overheads, then selling and distribution overheads, administrative overheads. Okay, these are the various overheads. Okay. Yes, let us dig into today's topic. I hope this is what you understood. Now, if you consider the methods of costing. Okay, we are talking in general, not specific to textile for this one, so that we also see for textiles which of these methods will be suitable. Okay. So there are various types of methods are there for the costing. These are some of the methods. Okay. What are those? Job order costing, unit costing, contract costing, batch costing, process costing, operating or service costing, composite costing. Job order costing means a specific job will be given. Maybe a contract will be given to paint your house. Okay, the person will get his own paint and then he will paint it, and accordingly he will complete the work which is given to him, isn't it? So whatever the material incurred and whatever the labor incurred, everything he will complete, and then he will complete the task. That is a job order, isn't it? Okay, it might stay maybe 1 week or 10 days or maybe a month or something, isn't it? That is referred as a job order costing. Means a specific job is given. Maybe you collect the goods from here and you transport the goods from there. Okay, this is maybe a service. Okay, so what happens accordingly? It will be done. Whatever the costs which are going to be incurred, it will be collected in terms of the job order cost. Means a specific task will be assigned. Then the unit costing. Unit costing means whereas a production or something, it will produce consequently same product. Okay, then what happens? Unit costing will be helpful. Like my village is very famous for what you call the bricks manufacturing. Okay, bricks manufacturing for construction of houses and all. The red color bricks will be there, right? So they'll take the black soil and mix some of the additives, and then they'll form into the molds, and then they'll burn these bricks in such a way that it will become a more amorphous in region which can absorb more water and all like that. Okay. So these bricks, what happens? It's also manufacturing. So will there be any difference from, okay, so Jagdish came here, we need to give a special bricks to him. Maybe some Subbaya came, so we need to give some special this thing. Or even if I want a special brick, instead of if you are charging 10 rupees, you take 12 rupees. But can you increase the quality? What happens? Can you be able to do it? No. Why? Because it is a common. Okay, you cannot change it. I hope you are understanding what is unit cost means. Say cement manufacturing. Of course, out of this also some grades and all can be done. But what happens? Out of that grade also it is constant. Okay, maybe 43 grade cement, 53 grade cement, something like that. Okay, so it is as like a very big brand which is making a undergarments or something. So it will come up with the same commodity or the product. Okay, it will not be customized. Okay, those can be considered as a unit price. Again, we will see in detail about these methods of costing. I am just giving a glance or a glimpse at this stage. Okay. The third one is the contract costing. Contract costing. The contract costing is also similar to job order costing, but whereas job order means a small object, maybe it can complete within a month or something. Contract costing means somewhat bigger than the job order, but similar. Like maybe constructing a building, which includes more things. Okay, it is much bigger than a simple job order. Okay, a very elaborate job order can be called as a contract costing, like a construction of a building or something. Okay, so sometimes it may be more than one financial year also. Okay, it can extend more than 1 year also. Okay, like National Highway Authority of India making roads, national highways. So those are like contracts, bigger ones. Okay. Then the batch processing. One batch as per this requirements. One batch as per this requirements. One batch as per this requirements. Which is more like our garment industries. So what happens is shirt manufacturing is there. So the customization will be there for one batch. Okay, one pocket, two pockets, four pockets, maybe plain piece dyed fabric, checks fabric, yarn stripes. Okay, or maybe which will be requiring a mitered collar, which may require a linen fabric. So those are the changes. Okay, there may be minor modifications. So those are referred as the batch costing, the fourth one. Okay, which is much suitable for apparel industries. The batch costing is much suitable for the apparel manufacturing industries. The fifth one is the process cost. Maybe as like we have a textile wet processing industry or a chemical processing industry, we can call it as. So what happens? The process is simple and reasonably fair. So say scouring, bleaching, and then dyeing, or maybe mercerizing, maybe sizing. So each process, we know that the process based costing. Say I have given fabric to you. What you can do? You can convert the grey fabric to the finished fabric. Okay. So for this process, what is the cost? For scouring, 10 rupees per meter. For bleaching, 15 rupees per meter. For dyeing, 100 rupees per kg. 100 rupees per kg, 120 rupees per kg, 150 rupees per kg. Okay, this is the process cost. Similarly, if I want a softener finish, okay, 10 rupees per meter, 15 rupees per meter, 40 rupees per meter. I want carbonizing finish. I want flame retardant finish. I want easy to iron finish. Similarly, there are various finishes or processes which are there. So in the process cost, only for that process, what is the cost? Only for that specific process. Okay. So that can be either for soap manufacturing or some of the chemical industries or some of our textile mills. Okay. The process cost. Similarly, maybe a knitting industry if you consider. How the knitting industries will function? Many of the Tirupur and all, if you consider, many people will have their own, they will be having only the knitting machines. Okay, so whoever the garment manufacturers, they'll buy the yarn, okay, and they'll give to these people, who will convert the yarn into the knitted fabric. They'll convert yarn into the knitted fabric, and they'll charge on the basis of per kg. Okay, say you have given 100 kg of yarn, I will give 98 kg of knitted fabric, isn't it? So maybe the wastage and all the softwares, whenever the yarn breakages would take place, then maybe a 2% of general wastage might be there. Okay. So what happens? This is a process cost. They are contained themselves only for one process. Okay. Sometimes it may be a value-added process. Sometimes it may be a regular stable process. Okay. So the process costing is only for one process. Okay. They will not give this. They will not take care of their own raw material. Okay, somebody will give the raw material and they will process it and then give it back. Okay, there is no liability with respect to the raw material. There is no much investment. Whatever the machinery is there, that will be the investment. But apart from the machinery, they will be paying for the direct labor and other things. But what happens is they can calculate how much is the cost based on per meter basis or per kg basis as per the unit and all which comes in. Okay, I hope you reasonably understood what is process costing. We will see further. Then the operating or service costing. for a specific service, what is the cost? In order to operate this, what is the minimum cost? Something like a fixed cost. And composite costing, it consists of many different things, okay, where the liability of the manufacturer will be too many things, okay. We will see what are this, okay, and out of this, even though we will discuss what are these, mainly the batch costing and the process costing, these two are mainly used for the textile industry, okay. And batch costing is mainly for the apparels, process costing is for all the other like spinning, weaving, and even the ginning industries also, the process costing. You give the lint, sorry, you give the kapas, I will gin it and then I will give you the lint, okay. So this is the process, only the ginning, only the spinning, only the weaving, only the chemical processing, and it is not a composite industry. Whereas in composite means more than one process will be there and more stages will be there. Whereas in the process based costing, nowadays in India there are no composite mills. I don't know why, but some of the experts told me that if your own manufacturing facility is there, then what happens, you are unable to produce with very good quality, okay. Say if there is any problem with the yarn, if your own weaving, then you will grease the palms of maybe the weaving person or something like that, and then you may tell to him that you please take care this time, okay, there are some issues in this part is on the lot number ABC, okay. Sometimes since it is internal and all, maybe the both managers are neighbors in the quarters. So what happens, maybe due to various reasons, he need to accept when you are in the same industry. But maybe if your company B is purchasing yarn from company A, the same issues are there, then what happens, since I am paying you money, why I should accept when there are defects, isn't it? So what happens, he may reject the entire goods to company A. If this thing happens, then what will happen? Obviously, the company A will take maximum care for the next orders, okay. Whereas in company B, what happened? Whatever the issues came, somehow he has managed it, isn't it? So what happens? The final product quality is going to be much deteriorated, and the cost of production will go increase. So that is the reason I think the composite industries in India are not much going on best. Okay, very few industries are there. So the composite industries mills, what happens when the buyer and the supplier are internal? So they will not see the quality up to the required frame. When it is external, what happens? The people will give the maximum care. Why? Because if he returns, obviously money is going to be a problem, isn't it? But when it is internal, they can manage due to various these things and that. So that is the reason I think very few composite industries are there. Even though if they have composite, 50% of the product they buy from the others, and 50% of the product they will sell to others. Okay. Say I have a 100% capacity of spinning, and same with the weaving also. So what happens? Even though all the 100% yarn, I may be able to consume on my own, but still 50% I will sell it outside, so that if I am competitive or not, the management will understand. Okay. Similarly, 50% I will buy from the outside, so that in order to maintain the consistency in terms of the quality. The very bigger brands like Raymond's, Aditya Birla, and many other things also will follow similar passion. They don't produce 100% of raw materials on their own within the process stages. Yeah. So why we are discussing all these things? Basically to understand the process costing. Okay. So in textile and apparel, as a total from fiber to fashion, if you consider, mainly our costing systems will follow either the batch costing or the process costing. Either the batch costing or the process costing. Okay, but anyhow we will see all the methods of costing, and then we will go further into our details. So the job order costing is, this method applies where work is undertaken to customers' special requirements, like painting. I want only pink color in my hall. Okay, I want white on the ceiling. I want royal blue color on this wall. Okay, so these are the requirements the customer which will give. Okay, all the customer's requirements can be fulfilled in a job order costing. I want only Asian paints, royal paints. Okay, I want only Berger paints. I want only Nippon paints. Whatever you give the recommendations, the painter can complete it. I want pink shade, I want blue shade, I want yellow shade. Isn't it? Everything can be completed. And it is only one piece. Okay, it is only one time. It is not a batch. Okay, I want 100 homes to be painted. Will it be like that? Then it may be a batch process. But a job order process means only one. So the cost unit in job order costing is taken to be a job or work order for which costs are separately collected and computed. A job, either small or big, comprises a specific quantity of a product as per the customer specification. Like the example is like painting or interior decoration. Okay, it can be considered as a job order cost. The second one is single output or unit costing. Single output or unit costing. So this method of cost calculation is used when the production is uniform and consists of a single or two or three varieties, not very high. Maybe the bricks. Okay, so this is one variety, this is one variety, this is something. It is not as per the requirements of a specific customer. Okay, it is as per the requirements of a specific market. Okay, so the cost per unit is found by dividing the cost by number of unit produced. Isuka batti or ituka batti, like the hump of all the stones or the brick stones. So what happens? What is the total cost involved in this? Maybe 5 lakhs. Okay, how many stones we have produced? Okay, divided by this entire thing. That is the cost. Okay, put our margin 20%. So that will be the selling price. That is like a single output or unit costing per brick, or like manufacturing steel or manufacturing many other products like steel, 6 mm rods, 8 mm rods, 10 mm rods, 12 mm rods. Okay, these are available. If you want, I want 11.2 mm rods. Is it possible? Whatever is available, that only he can produce. He can purchase. Understood? Based on the entire market demand, the manufacturer will decide what are the variants. Okay. So that is nothing but a single output or unit costing. Okay. The next one is a contract costing. Like as we discussed, it is similar to a job order costing, but little bigger than that. So the construction of a building or something can be considered as like a contract costing. Batch costing. The batch costing is as like a ready-made garments, toys, shoes. So what happens? A batch of maybe 100 products to maybe a 10 lakh products. Okay, the lot may vary. Okay, but generally the maximum order sizes in terms of the garment industry will constrained generally by 10 million pieces. Okay, and minimum is like maybe 100 or 200 pieces, isn't it? Again, it depends upon the who is the buyer and who is the manufacturer and the understanding between these two. Okay. When I was working in an apparel industry, there is one Italian brand. Okay, so I don't want to mention the brand name. So in that what happens is the size variations for a shirt are 34. How many? 34. Generally in a brand, how much you will see? Maybe S, M, L, XL, XXL, 5 sizes, right? But this brand is having the number of sizes are 34. Okay. And what is the order quantity? Say roughly around 500 pieces, that includes all 34 sizes. Is it a good order or a bad order? It's very complicated order, I could say. That whether it is good or bad, it depends, but it is very complicated order. 34 sizes, 500 pieces. Okay. So what happens is the people who makes this pattern marker and all, it's very difficult. Whatever they do, hardly only for one ply they may use. Okay, but the costing wise, they will be costing somewhere around the CM cost, means cut to make cost, somewhere around 1500 rupees per shirt, only for cutting to making charges. Okay, apart from the fabric cost. Why? Because it is complicated and they wanted very good finish, and it is an Italian buyer. Okay, so there are many kinds of these things are there, and another brand is there which is like Gap. I could mention this one. A Gap brand is there. I also seen several orders which consist in millions. 1 million is 10 lakh pieces, right? I have seen an order with 4 million as an order quantity. Okay, it's like a white, almost like a banyan, but not banyan. It's like simple white t-shirt. Okay, the Gap is purchasing it when I was doing an internship in Shanghai. So what happens with the entire unit, means one big shed consisting only completely only one order. Okay, only one product is being produced by many number of people. Okay. Those things are also there. So the batch size can be very small or very big, but bigger sizes means we can achieve better efficiencies, and obviously it leads to better costing, means lesser cost. Okay, but in case of smaller batches, what happens? Small efficiencies, so obviously the cost of processing will be much higher. Yeah. So the process costing, so the costs are accumulated for each process. In this case, here the raw material has to pass through a number of processes in a particular sequence. Okay, covering, bleaching, desizing. Okay, so desizing, scouring, bleaching. Okay, so whatever the process are there, these are fixed mainly. Okay, sometimes maybe mercerization, it's an option. Okay. So the finished product of one process is passed on to the next process as raw material. In order to arrive at cost per unit, in this case, the total cost of process is divided by the number of units produced. What is the cost involved in a desizing unit? Okay, how many meters we have processed? What is the cost per meter? Okay, plus you add the overheads and then put up some process cost per meter. Like in textile mills, like chemical processing, or maybe in terms of the garments, the engine wash or bioprocessing, something like that. Or maybe manufacturing of a soap or manufacturing of a sugar. This is like a process cost. I hope you understood this part. We are going for the next one. The operating or service costing, like a specific task, maybe like a transport or electricity or hotel, hospital, hotel per day, what is the cost? Okay, so they will see how much is cost involved of the wages which are being paid to the manager and local taxes and room boys. Okay, and what is the depreciation of cart, TV and maintenance cost, all these things. All they come to a understanding that in order to maintain this hotel per room per day, this will be the cost, and multiply by either 3 times or 4 times as the markup, and considering the average efficiency. Maybe a hotel which consists of 100 rooms, whether all 100 rooms will be filled all 365 days? No, right? So how much is the efficiency? So in order to regain the costs which are incurred, how much should be per day tariff? So accordingly, and plus GST, all these things will be comes under the service cost. But of course, we will not go in detail about these things, just for you to understand the various methods of costing. Okay, we will be going with either batch cost, batch process cost, batch cost, and then process cost. Only these two. The other one is like a composite costing, like a manufacturing of an air conditioner or scooter or a car. So maybe the engine will be purchased from some company. Okay, the painting you may do it. You need to purchase tires from someone. You need to purchase chassis from someone, or maybe all the different parts from different manufacturers. And maybe you need to complete the assembly and you need to fabricate some of the components on your own. Then it will be a composite cost. Yeah. The next one is the various techniques used in costing. Standard cost means we will give a standard cost and accordingly what is the actual cost we will see. So to analyze where we are going wrong. The marginal costing means, say this is the cost, you add this margin and put it. Total absorption costing means whatever comes, let it be there. Okay, we will put some random figure and we will select that one. Okay. Maybe in order to attract the market initially at those phases and all, it may do. Uniform costing. Maybe a ketchup. Okay, tomato ketchup. In order to produce tomato ketchup in month wise, if you see, what happens it will not be uniform each month. Why? Because the crop is a seasonal fruit. The price is keep on changing. But what happens whether the tomato ketchup or any of these things, if the prices keep on changing every week, will it be a good one? Nobody will purchase it, right? Or they will stack it. It is not a good thing. So what happens? Irrespective of the cost actually incurred, the price will be same. That will be like a uniform pricing. We will see these things. The standard costing is, this is very valuable techniques for controlling cost. Okay, basically for manufacturing a shirt. Okay, say this is the standard. Maximum is 400 rupees. What is your cost? If you see the actual cost, it may be 450 or maybe 350. So it will be good to analyze, okay, for raw material like fabric how much it is, for trims how much it is, for cut to make how much it is. Once you analyze it, then you will understand the difference where we are gaining or losing money. Okay, so that's why this technique will be useful. It is more like a technique. Okay. The marginal costing means fixed cost plus variable cost. So whatever cost per unit, this is my fixed cost. This is the amount in case of variable cost. Say one shirt, in order to produce one shirt maybe 30 rupees. Sorry, in order to produce one shirt we might require 30 minutes. Okay, per minute costing is 2 rupees, suppose. Okay, so what happens? 30 into 2, 60 rupees is my variable cost. Okay, and my fixed cost is 50 rupees. So 110 rupees will be my cost of manufacturing. Understanding? Yeah. So this is like a marginal costing, and mostly in apparel industry the marginal costing will come into picture. And the absorption costing is nothing but a traditional method of costing whereby the total costs are charged to the production. This is in complete contrast to the marginal costing. We do not know what is the actual cost involved, but this is the selling price. In order to position themselves in some of the retailing sectors by various brands also, the absorption costing can be utilized. Okay. Uniform costing. This is not a separate technique or method. Costing like a standard costing. It simply denotes a situation in which a number of firms adopt a uniform set of costing. Maybe let me quote an example. Jio has come up with a mobile recharge plan for $499. Okay, for 84 days. So what happens? Maybe the competitor has like Airtel or Vodafone or anyone. Now of course maybe many other players have gone out of the market. So what happens? They also need to give at this price or lesser price in order to sustain the market. Otherwise, thanks to the TROI, where the mobile number portability is also there in India, isn't it? So what happens? People will keep their same number, but carrier will be changed. Earlier, where this portability is not there, what happens? People will generally not think for porting from one carrier to the another carrier, one network provider to the another network provider, isn't it? Now, why? Because if they change the number, maybe 200 to 500 contacts will be there. We need to notify all these contacts about the change of mobile number. But thanks to the TROI, now it has come up with a plan. I think it is being completing 7-8 years, right, in India, where this mobile number portability is a part of the process. So what happens? They can change. So what happens? Now, the Jio has introduced a plan, but whereas Airtel, we cannot observe all this marginal costing or all these things. So what they need to do? based on the market condition, they have no other option. They need to come down, and they also will be offering $4.99 instead of $7.99. Isn't it? So it is an example for a uniform costing. Not a very good example, but I hope you understand the glance of it. Okay. Yes. So that will be a uniform costing. Now we'll discuss about cost sheet and various components. What will be there under in a cost sheet. We will discuss in detail about the costing sheet in next units. Okay, unit 2 and 3 we will be discussing in detail about the cost sheet specific to the garments or the textiles. Yes. Now, I think you can see the font also maybe a little smaller. Cost sheet is a document which provides estimated detailed cost in respect of a cost center or a cost unit. Okay, fabric, sewing thread, labels, then maybe poly bag, a carton box, CM cost, that means cutting cost, making cost, finishing cost, transportation cost, inspection cost. These are the cost centers. Okay, and cost units. Cost units are nothing but per kg, per meter, per piece, per inspection, something like that. So it analyzes and classifies in a tabular form the expenses on different items for a particular period or particular item. Okay. So it may be based on the actual data to understand the actual cost, or it may be the estimated data. Sometimes before giving the order and all, we need to estimate the costing and give the quotation to the buyer so that he will place the order with us, isn't it? So in that case, the estimated data will be there. So in that case, it might be using the historical data of a company also. Means earlier what we have done, earlier we have processed 100% cotton fabric. So what is the cost of that fabric? Can we consider the same? Or is there any change at this time? Something like that. If we have a historic data and so obviously it will be very easy for understanding the costs at present and give almost accurate estimated cost sheet. The costing is one of the prime most important thing in the apparel business. Okay, it should not be too high, it should not be too low. Okay, it should be optimum and perfect and acceptable. Okay, then only the business will get increases, isn't it? So, ascertainment of future cost and making comparison with past records helps the management in fixing of the selling price of the products. Okay, as we need to understand how the market is going on. So this is the introduction of cost sheet. You can see an example of this cost sheet. Okay, so whereas this is a general one, not specific to garment, we will see what is garment cost sheet. A direct material, direct labor, direct expenses, how much it is. So this is the total cost. Then cost per unit in terms of the prime cost, what is the total cost per unit. Okay. Then what are the work overheads? Okay, are the factory overheads total, and what is the per unit? Okay, in that consists of work overheads, then indirect material, factory expenses, power and fuel, insurance of factory. So all these things may be the works cost. Then administrative expenses like office expenses, legal charges, office salaries, then bank commissions. All these things comes under the cost of administrative overheads. All this together comes under the cost of production. Then the selling and distribution expenses, salesman salaries or the commissions, and showroom expenses, if any are there, these are comes under the cost of sales. So all together will be the cost of total cost plus the profit. So this will be the finally the cost per unit which we are going to sell. Understood? So this is a general cost sheet which will be followed for a batch costing. For a batch costing. In case of a garment, a cost sheet will be as like this. So it will show some of the diagrams with what is the front view, what is the back view, and what is the style number, which season it is, and what is the sample size. Means based on the size also it is going to change. What is the fabric width, and then the particulars, like in case of fabric, whether it is 100% cotton or PC, PV, nylon, or what it is. Is there any special finish? What is the count of the yarn which is going to be used? Then other materials like care labels, sewing threads, lining and interlinings. Okay, all these things, or any appliques are there. Whether the program requires washing or embroidery, like this. Everything is going to be mentioned in terms of the cost sheet. Then, what are the payment terms? Whether it is a ex-works or FOB or CAF or DDP. So, what are the other additional overheads which are coming to be in this case? Okay, whether the distribution costs are going to be increased or whether it is same. Okay, in case of if the payment terms is ex-works, there is no distribution charges, isn't it? Something like this. This is an example of cost sheet. We are going to discuss in detail about the garment cost sheets in the next classes. Let us see one more example. Yeah, this is another example. Similarly, so in this also, okay, what is the fabric which is there? What are the various specifications? What is the price from where we are taking? What is the labor cost? What are the other miscellaneous costs? What is the inspection charges? Everything will be comes under the cost sheet. Okay, so again I am repeating, the cost sheet is one of the more important thing in terms of business of apparel industries. Okay, which is very much required, and which should not be very high, which should not be very low. Okay, if the cost, if we are whatever we are quoting the price to the manufacturer to buyer, from the manufacturer to buyer, if it is too high, obviously they will not provide us the order. If it is too low, we will be making losses. Okay, we should not exclude anything. We should consider almost everything, and some of the controllable costs we should be able to reduce it. And the uncontrollable cost, of course, we cannot do them or anything, but the controllable cost we should reduce as much as possible. Okay, so this is an example of the cost sheet. This is an example of the cost sheet. Okay, we will be going to exercise various cost sheets also in this subject, the apparel costing and export documentation. We will take up examples of various different types of garments, and we will exercise and discuss the costing in each case. Okay, so we have reached to the end of this class. So I hope we have learned something new today, and I wish you all the best. Stay safe, and thank you.